Hey guys and girls, welcome back to a long-awaited episode of All About You. I know it's been forever, okay? With me being banned and the pandemic and all this crap going around where we can't have in real live events and the ones that we do are super capped. I'm sorry, I haven't been in the scene. I haven't been really playing much Dragon Ball as of late either way. But I'm getting back on the ball, okay? I just recently came back from a Pro Play Games qualifier, and I was first seed at the end of the event. 5 rounds, I went 4 wins and 1 draw, okay? So not too bad, shaking off the dust or the rust, whatever you want to call it. But the point is that it was a good event, ran well. There were a lot of competitive players out of that 24, A lot of you guys may know Joey Palladino, Danny Wynn, Eric Hill, Eon Hill, Scott Dashy. I mean, the list goes on. There was a good amount, okay? And it was, again, a success, okay? So in today's event, I ran Vegeks. Now I know, okay? Vegeks has been hit so many times by Bandai. You guys are probably thinking, Anthony, Vegeks? I mean, you decide to make your comeback with that deck and it's been hit so many times? Like, what's up with that? Well, to be quite frank, I had intentions of playing Dark Broly. But the reason why I did not play it is because I had a feeling multiple players were going to play it. And I felt like I was going to be just going through a lot of mirror matches, okay? So I decided, fuck that. We're going to actually go and play something different. And I was like, all right, I'm still in the mood to play a black leader. Let's see what we got. And then I was like, you know what? Vegeks isn't so bad. Let me make some builds. So I spent, I kid you not, 2 weeks of just testing with my boy Jonathan. And in 2 weeks, I was able to come up with a decent list. This list that I'm about to present to you was not the first option. I actually have a better list, but I did not have the cards. So stay tuned in another video to get a spicier list and probably a list that I will be taking, I would actually take, to the March event that Pro Play Games is having, their invitational. But without further ado, let's begin. Here we have our leader. He has a burst 5. You draw 1. Now, what makes this leader amazing is that we are able to run free cards. Now, these free cards come into play anytime they are put or placed in your drop area from your deck, okay? So, when he awakens, you draw 1 and you untap 1. Boom! Now, mind you, he can only awaken either A, we're having 20 cards or more in your drop area, or B, at 4 life. Now, we have Vegeks, the unsung fusion hero. Now, this guy, his effect is in reverse, which I feel like Bandai made this just to make players misplay and potentially just lose the game off of playing wrong. All right. Instead of being able to burst first and then draw, you draw and then you burst. Okay. So similar effect, except after you're done bursting, you could choose one of your unison cards and give it double strike. Obviously, the only ones playable for the deck, in my opinion, which I will be showing you shortly. And don't forget that if you do end up milling yourself to death, sparking 20, you shuffle up your drop area right back into your deck. So now you have a whole new deck. And what's great about this is that you don't deck out. You're basically infinite. You basically have an infinite deck. So let's get on to the card pool, the free stuff. 4 of our unison. You guys all know what it does. It's a +2, pitch a card, and you get plus 10K. So he's hitting that 15 right off the get-go. Now you have to lose hand size, so be careful on how you utilize his effect because you don't want to be wasteful. And then his -4 is great. He gets dual attack plus 20K. And as we all know, the leader's skill is able to give him double. So he can crack you with a double strike without even having to have one. For Kai, She's standard. She's a 10K combo piece if you have 5 or less cards in your hand. And she is what allows this deck to go high in combo power. For Trunks, he's great. He is one of our ways to awaken in the deck. So if our opponent were to be stalling us, we could take our own life. And what's great about him is that he's a blocker. So when he comes into play, you can take a life and he's a blocker. And mind you, again, he's free. And our last free card of the package is Time Agent Vegeta. He's just a 19K beat stick that comes out for free. Now moving on to the super combos. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been running the Vegeta, but no, we are going old school with the man that started it all, Bibbidi. He got errated, so you guys should know the effect, and a lot of you might not even know because you stopped playing this deck or stopped playing this super combo, okay? He got errated to being the same effect, but up to 12. So once you have 12 cards, that's it. He can't get any stronger than that. He can only become a 15K combo piece, but you have to keep this in mind that you have to count your drop and your warp well enough, because I do see players misplaying where they'll only have 13K or 14K and not be a full 15K combo piece. One of my opponents counted my drop and warp and counted 15, but they thought that I didn't have it and they miscalculated. And now we have the utility part of the deck. This is my favorite part because it is cheap and allows me to put pressure on my opponent / awaken. We have Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. He's still relevant in this format. A lot of decks that want to be able to pretty much free play stuff that are 15K or less are relevant. So he is going to be doing a lot of work. In the tournament, he did do work, but unfortunately, a lot of people are more prepared. So he'll get people caught off guard, but more than not, they'll just play around him. But still, it's always good to have your opponent play around him. Now, if you guys don't know his effect, auto, when you attack, you can take a life. He gets plus 10K. Now he has a secondary effect. Anytime your opponent should put in play a battle card with 15K or less due to a non-key skill effect, they have to pitch 2, warp 2 from their hand. So a great way to control the game and awaken and put pressure. This guy, okay? We got to talk about Goku. Son Goku, the true fighting spirit. He is probably the MVP of the day. Every person that I dropped it on felt it. All my opponents had to go at least neg 1, neg 2, in some cases neg 3. Okay. His effect, for one, he has deflect, which don't be screwed up and tired like I was, only getting no sleep within the past 48 hours because I allowed someone to basically crusher ball him. But outside of that stupidity, his effect is, while he's in play, if your opponent should activate any counter skill, they have to warp a card from their hand. Now, mind you, it's once per turn, but if you have multiple of them out, it stacks. And the second thing, when he attacks, he gets plus 10K if you take a life. So he's also like the previous Dark Power Black Mask, where I can put pressure. My boy Miguel, you know who you are. He lent me 1, so there was 2 in this deck. SS3 Tag Team Son Gohan, you guys should already know. Anytime one of your battle cards are removed from play due to a skill, you can play him. He could be offensive or defensive for a block. Very good against Red Broly, because when Red Broly tries to pop your Trunks with the Unison, your little baby Trunks, the free one, you can always just plop them right out. You know, or if they try to use any warping skills, any effect to get rid of your guys, you can pop them right out. The reason why this deck is good, double strike, okay? Supreme Kai, you have the option to give double. Do not forget to say it if you want it. And yeah, it's one of the best double strikes that you can play. Now, we're going to go into our overwhelm section. 3 Revive Ravager Vegeta. I've seen some lists that run 4 or none or whatever ratio. I believe 3 is a very sound and safe ratio, only because you need to use this effect once to twice per game. If you never see him, it doesn't matter. If you see him, if you see all three, it's great. Doesn't matter. He's just a way to apply pressure and mill more cards off your deck so that you have a chance of getting more guys on board for free. This deck is literally the free deck, and I designed it. That's why there are only 51 cards in the deck, so that it's very consistent at doing what it can do. Because I see a lot of people running 55 cards or more. Some people were playing 60-card Vegeks decks, running a bunch of stuff that I'm like, well, one thing, you won't have to deck out by playing bad, overwhelming your guys or overwhelming your drop area when you know you're decking out because you have an extra 10 cards. But the issue is that you're not seeing your key pieces that are free. So make sure that you make things simple for yourself. Another MVP for decks that went the long game, decks that were blue, decks that just had applied a lot of pressure, you know, where I had to go the longer game with them and control the match. You guys should already know he's Overwhelm and Dark Overwhelm. We only play him as a Dark Overwhelm in this deck. God forbid you have to actually overwhelm him and lose him at the end of the turn. I'd rather my opponent waste cards to get rid of him. When he comes into play, you draw a card and you could warp one of your opponent's battle cards. Anytime he attacks, your opponent has to warp a card from their hand. So just a very good control-y card and 30K. You really can't say no to that. This guy. Very strong, but ironically in my matchups, he wasn't the MVP. So very good card, but he is a little bit more concentrated. He's able to warp multiple cards, and, you know, he comes out for free. You need 6 cards in your drop area. It's very easy to do with this deck, but you got to keep in mind that if you are using Overwhelm often in the early game, early to mid game, you could risk decking out or putting yourself in an unfavorable position. So always keep track of making sure that you are not killing yourself while you're trying to gain advantage during gameplay. To our extra cards, 2 max power Kamehamehas. Very good cards. A reusable negate. It costs 1. When you activate it, you can select up to 4 cards in your drop area and put them into your warp. And in that case, put it to your hand. If you do so, you cannot activate another one of these for the turn. 4 Power Burst. Power Burst is a very good card. Very essential. The best negate for this deck for black. It has Sparking 5. Where you are able to take a life and add a 1-drop of your choosing to your hand, okay? Which, as you saw earlier in the profile, there are a lot of 1-drops. So in the tournament, I kept reusing my Vegetas, my Gokus. My opponent would get rid of the Gokus and Vegetas after going neg. I would pick them right back up and summon them on the board, leave them there, sometimes attack, whatever it may be, depending on the game state. The point was that my opponents had to keep trying to get rid of them, and they kept losing more resources to do so. And then last but not least, our Secret Rare. She made the 51 slot. Originally, the deck was 50. I'd rather keep the deck at 50, but with her, I wanted to give her a shot. She's a very cool card. And if you guys don't know, because I surprised a lot of people with her, you can summon this on your opponent's turn. It's active battle as long as you have 3 energy. She costs 1. You play her. She's a 40K beat stick, so trust me, she can put in that work. But what makes her more of a threat is that pay another 1, and you can clear your opponent's board, including unisons. Now, mind you, it does not get over barrier. This card, it's good. I'm not sold on it yet. I'm keeping it a buck with you guys. You guys know how I am. I tell you how it is. Throughout my testing, out of the 3 major decks, which is Mecha, Red Broly, and Dark Broly, those were the 3 decks that I test played against. Everything else was almost irrelevant to me. She's okay. If your opponent's board gets out of control or they're trying to use a unison that's going to put you in a dangerous position, then I can see you just summoning her on your opponent's turn to prevent your opponent from attacking with their unison or leader card, which against Miguel, I was kind of able to do that, but not quite. Only for the simple fact that he always swings with leader. So I couldn't stop his leader swing, but in a lot of cases, you could stop green go tanks if they try to like fusion summon their go tanks and start attacking you with their 25Ks. You could just play this active battle. Now they can't attack with their leader or their unisons, which you can screw them over. For the sideboard, 2 Heavenly Wizard Demigra. I was worried about Dark Broly, and I tested against this several times. My main board is able to beat it, but this just is a win more card. I'd rather be prepared for a deck that I know I'm expected to see. This card can remove a 30k beat stick or more, providing that your opponent has 3 or less energy, which is perfect for Broly because, yes, they could go into the long game, but early on, you're able to pop a lot of their bombs. Two Protector of the People. You guys know it's a Sensu Bean negate. Every time your opponent keeps attacking your leader, you gain 5k by just pitching 1 card from your hand on the initial usage. 3 Kotsukai. Didn't have any matchup that I needed to use it. There was only one, which was the Topo matchup. I played against an Invoker and I got a draw. That was my only draw in the event. All my games went into a 2-0 special. Invoker, I had a crazy game where my opponent topoed me. And then I swung right through the topo. He D-magicked me, untapped his red energy, and then he topoed me again. And yeah, there was no way for me to go through. And then on his turn, he had 5 energy, and he victory striked me with his own victory strike. The MVP against Blue, this shits on Blue too much. He also has Deflect. He also has the perk of when I attack, I can take a life and get plus 10k. What makes him a threat is that anytime your opponent tries to restand any of their energy outside of their leader skills awaken, so not leader skill, but leader skill awaken, meaning Soul Striker, if you attack and try to tap 2, untap 2, you still got to warp a card. His ability says warp a card. So against my boy Miguel, I stacked 3 at one point, and he ended up having to get rid of 3 cards when he Hachiacked me. One time he had to restand energy, and I had, I think, 2. In that scenario, I had only 2. Point is that he holds weight. Last but not least, Dark Broly. There were only 1 in the event. I really don't know. I was expecting at least 4 to 5 out of 24 people. It is what it is. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I'm exhausted and beat, so sorry for dragging it. But if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Please, I am back, so you guys can start subscribing to the channel. I know I lost over 1,000 subs due to my absence, and you know, I apologize. I just don't feel comfortable releasing content if I'm not that focused in the game, but I'm gonna be back. I'm back. I kicked ass, and you guys are gonna see some really cool stuff from me in the future and really cool deck ideas that I don't see anybody playing. So leave this video a thumbs up. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, this channel is all about you.